I am continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. We're going to be starting First Nephi here. And we're all very familiar with the story of First Nephi, so I don't know how much actual commentary I'm going to give. Chapter 1's a little long, too, and I'm going to read this opening or introduction to the First Book of Nephi. The First Book of Nephi, his reign and ministry. An account of Lehi and his wife Sariah and his 4 sons being called, beginning at the eldest, Laman, Lemuel, Sam, and Nephi. The Lord warns Lehi to depart out of the land of Jerusalem, because he prophesieth unto the people concerning their iniquity, and they seek to destroy his life. He taketh 3 days' journey into the wilderness with his family. Nephi taketh his brethren, and returneth to the land of Jerusalem after the record of the Jews, the account of their sufferings. They take the daughters of Ishmael to wife. They take their families and depart into the wilderness. Their sufferings and afflictions in the wilderness, the course of their travels. They come to the large waters. Nephi's brethren rebel against him. He confoundeth them and buildeth a ship. They call the name of the place Bountiful. They cross the large waters into the promised land, and so forth. This is according to the account of Nephi, or, in other words, I, Nephi, wrote this record. Now, this is just a nice summary of the entire book of First Nephi. Only a couple of books in the Book of Mormon have this kind of introduction. I know Nephi does it for both First and Second Nephi. I can't remember if there's an introduction for other books, really, but I find it interesting that Nephi took the time to summarize his record. Now, I do believe this was written after he had finished the record, and he put this kind of preface at the beginning. Well, you'll note here that he says his 4 sons. He doesn't specifically say there are no daughters, but he does mention any daughters. So again, it's only at this point, it's only speculation that Lehi had any daughters at this point. The summary there is pretty good. Journeys through the wilderness, gets the record of the Jews. And remember, at this time, the term Jew didn't mean of the tribe of Judah. It meant a citizen of the nation of Judah. So Lehi, even though as we read later, he is a descendant of the tribe of Manasseh through Joseph, but he is still a Jew because he is a citizen of Judah. Now, how did the tribes of Joseph get citizens down in Judah? There's a couple of things that happen. It happened in at least 3 different times. One is at the very beginning, when the 2 kingdoms split. Once Jeroboam set up his 2 golden calves, there were a lot of people living in the north that simply moved down into Judah because they didn't want to be dealing with all the idol worship. Of course, they kind of fell at idol worship down there too, but that was the first migration. There was 2 other migrations. One is when Assyria first invades, and that is, I can't remember, it was just after Jeroboam II. During the time, well, not just after, it was during the time of Pekah. Assyria invades, many people fleeing Assyria migrate down into Judah. Then, about 15, 20, 25 years later, I can't remember the exact timing, Assyria destroys the northern kingdom and takes them all captive. But at that time, there were a number of others who again flee down into Judah. Now, this is taking place around the time of King Hezekiah. This third wave is at the time of King Hezekiah. And when the Assyrians first come in, that's during the time of Jotham, who was Hezekiah's grandfather. So you had Jotham, Ahaz, Hezekiah. During Jotham's reign, we have the first invasion and a migration down south. And then during Hezekiah's reign, we have another invasion and migration down south. Now, after that, we still had 15 years of Hezekiah, 55 years of Manasseh, 2 years of Ammon, 31 years of Josiah. Now, of course, we do see, as I said in my introduction video, that Lehi is, or most likely, born during the time of Manasseh. So it is unlikely, since he has his land of inheritance, it is unlikely that his family migrated at that time, because that would be 65 years, maybe 2 generations. It's possible. If they had been the first migration during the Assyrian invasion, that would have been about another 30 years earlier, almost 100 years ago. That's more likely. I think his family came down. They probably brought a lot of wealth with them and established themselves, bought themselves some land, And that's when his family came down. And then that's about 100 years before he's born. And then it's about 150 years after that they leave Jerusalem. I think that timing makes a little more sense. It is, of course, also possible that his family stretches all the way back to the beginning with Jeroboam. So we don't know exactly when they came down, but we do know that these migrations did happen. Now, most of the people mentioned in this account, in the narrative of the Book of Mormon, don't appear in the Bible in any way. They're not mentioned at all. But that is understandable because the Bible, as it says, it is a record of the Jews, but it is more specifically a record of the tribe of Judah, not just a record of the kingdom of Judah, because it is a record of the royal line of David. That is what it is focused on. And now in 1st and 2nd Kings, we do have some about the northern kingdom. But even then, it is more focused on the royal line of David. The Book of Mormon is about the tribes of Joseph. And so Laban, who we will read about later, he's a powerful man, an influential man in Judah and Jerusalem. But he is probably like the tribal head of one of the tribes of Joseph. He's not in the royal line. He's not of the king's house. He is a local prince over Manasseh, or over Ephraim. I can't remember quite which one. I think he was Manasseh. And so the record of the Book of Mormon is about the people, this group of immigrants who came from the north, seeking asylum in Judah, but they still have their own separate identity. They're still of the tribes of Joseph and not of the tribe of Judah. And so even within Jerusalem, there was a kind of division of the tribes in this way. Not geographically, but culturally. But I'm going to leave that here. I've been rambling a bit. So this is just the preface to the First Book of Nephi. We'll get into the first chapter in the next video. So see you there.